Shawn McAnalley here with Dr. Bill McAnalley, Chief Science Officer of Aroga. Guys, some more. We're going to talk some more about cancer. We're going to talk about Bcl2 overexpression and foods and cancer. And these are just some more examples and research that Dr. Bill has looked into about that topic. And we're just going to shed a little more light on it, guys. Dr. Bill?
Yeah. When I talked about our first presentation, people said, well, it looks like Bcl2 is involved in more than one or two things.
Right.
And so I remembered reading some articles not long ago, and here's one that came out 2013, and it's done by an MD Anderson fellow, you can see. But he wrote a real good paper. Bcl2 is overexpressed in about half of all human cancers.
Oh, wow.
And 50 to 70% of breast cancer patients. Because of that, it causes resistance to conditional therapies like chemo, radiation. Even though you can get the chemo, it's not going to let it die. And so it's really interesting. And what they said is that an excellent target is to go after Bcl2.
Okay.
Because it can affect both estrogen positive and negative cancers. And how can it be lowered? I jumped several pages here.
That's all right.
Yeah, I wanted to get this article about resveratrol. Resveratrol is something we really heard about in black grapes, has a lot of it, and they said Harvard did a study saying that resveratrol would increase your lifespan. You'd live a lot longer.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of interest in it. It was first isolated in 1940, and you can find it in several plants like grapes, blueberries, peanuts. In fact, they get a lot from peanuts because it's in high concentration.
Gotcha.
And besides its cardiovascular effects, resveratrol inhibits, it has anti-cancer properties. And it affects a wide range of cancers or tumor types, including lymphoid, myeloid, multiple myeloma, breast cancer, prostate cancer, stomach cancer, colon cancer, pancreas cancer, melanomas, head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, ovarian cancer, and cervical cancer.
My goodness,
Probably
I think that we all know somebody that has probably knows somebody or closely related that has had one or more of all of those.
Well, like we talked about last time, there are a lot of different pathways. And not only do they affect Bcl2, which I have here in red, they affect all these other pathways. And that's why they can remove cancer cells without any toxicity, because it stays in balance. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. It does.
And
Where a drug would be all or nothing.
that's right.
Yeah.
So MD Anderson's looking more and more at these plants, and I'm glad to see that. I think that's going to be the future of medicine, and it just makes you look back at the father of medicine, Hippocrates, who said, "Let your food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food."
Right.
And that doesn't mean your whole food is beer all day.
Right.
Or it's wine all day.
Right.
Or it's steak all day. Or potatoes all the time. It's a combination
Of everything.
of everything.
Yeah.
And it's not just eating oats.
Right.
Like cattle ate the plants that the oats grew.
Yeah, they eat the whole thing.
They eat the whole plant.
Yeah.
And every now and then they get some seed. But
Mhm.
we've been so good at processing and collecting seeds, we started feeding them to cattle, corn and all of these oats and stuff are made by monocots, which if you look at a leaf, like even a big corn plant, all the veins are parallel. Whereas the more complex plants that help make all these pathways active, they have a single vein and then side veins. And that's where our fruits and a lot of our greens and stuff, if you look at them, they're more complex and they have the ability to activate a lot more pathways. So if we just eat grains, that's not natural, because you can only get grains every now and then.
Right.
You would have to eat other.
And nowadays, that's bread, tortillas. You know, I mean, everything, every which way you turn around is full of grains.
That's right.
I mean, all the cereals and all of that stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's a big imbalance there.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. Makes sense.
So it's involved in half of all cancers and up to 70% of all breast cancers, just the Bcl2. But the plants activate all these other pathways. And that's what keeps it in harmony and balance.
Yeah. I mean, and it's right there in front of us. You know, I mean, it's amazing how the rate of cancer just goes up and up and up and up and up. And our diet gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's right there in front of us.
And like our genetically modified foods.
Yeah.
That's, we've messed up some of those pathways.
Yeah. Had to have. I mean, and you can see all these new diseases you didn't hear about.
Yeah.
In the past. So.
Well, when I was my first week or so at the medical school, they had the grand rounds, and they featured a lupus patient. And the doctor talked about the symptoms, and they had a lupus patient there. And he said that a lot of you doctors that practice in small towns will probably never see one. Well, lupus is everywhere.
You hear about it all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's because foods regulate those pathways. And we're just not eating like we should.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Bill. Thank you so much. Guys, I hope that got you thinking. You know, there's more on that Bcl2. You know, you hear of B-cell cancer. You know, you hear that a lot. You'll hear that on TV. It's real common, and this is just kind of the roots of it here. And Dr. Bill's kind of explained some things to us. And, you know, I hope you take it to heart and think about it. And I hope it can really help you, guys. This is for the health of it.